Hi guys, welcome to Robin Hood Diaries. Hope you're doing well. And as promoted, as always, I'm a man of my word. Uh, Today's show is going to, promoted as just way overexposure that I had at such a very young age, thanks to good old dad. For better or worse, my dad was my dad. I was kind of his buddy, uh, and not as much his son. Therefore, tonight's show. So, my dad really kind of had no concept of what was like age appropriate. I think he thought, being that we had this sort of friendship slash parent son thing happening, that he thought that he was educating me culturally. Well, yeah, it was cultural and it was educational. So let's start with movies before we get to the real exciting one at the towards the end, which is actually notorious. Um, let's start with movies, okay? So starting at 6 and 7 through 8, I guess I was like way mature to handle stuff more at 8, but this was starting at 6 years old. And what my dad's MO was that he would have me lie on his shoulder and he would hold me like a baby, even though I was 6 or 7. He would sort of have me sort of snuggle up and be dead asleep on his shoulder. My dad could, sell ice in friggin' Antarctica. So he would convince every damn box office that I was just some sleeping little child that could get into an R-rated film because daddy was there and he was sleeping, and he got me in for free uh, as a child. So that was a double plus. One for me, one for him. So at 6, by then-ish, I was seeing Ingmar Bergman films. Okay, so I'll give you examples of things that never left my mind. Quite literally, these are images that, for better or worse, stuck with me for a lifetime. So Bergman made a film that is of note, very remarkable for me, called Cries and Whispers. Now you can Google Ingmar Bergman, the famous movie director, and you can read maybe 4 sentences about Cries and Whispers. So here I am at 6, used to this kind of thing, this kind of Euro art house, way age inappropriate stuff, which I'll get to the good one. But we're just on movies now. So here I am, and in this Bergman film at 6, Liv Ullmann, the brilliant actress, roughly the story is about like family sisters, a few family sisters at a wake, and their dead mother is lying in the bed in the bedroom where they do what they do, just the corpse laying there for I don't know, a week or something with candles. Well, the daughter, Liv Ullmann, is real depressed about all this, so she decides to break a wine glass at the table, secretly take the biggest, sharpest shard of glass, and after dinner retire to the bedroom to lacerate her woman parts. Okay, and it is literally what I just said on film. The blood and all of that. That stuck with me at 6, as you can imagine. Then he would take me to Fellini films. Fellini films in later life were, an experience, a brilliant, wondrous experience, because Fellini's a genius. But I'm looking at Amarcord, for example, at now 7, 6, and, there is a subplot of 2 little kids who are obsessed with a very large middle-aged woman who owns the local market, who is extremely well endowed up top. And fantasies ensue, and nakedness ensues, and all of them ensue, and you can well imagine the rest of it. That one never left my mind. let's get to some other movies that were permanently carved into my mental plate thanks to Daddy-O. Last Tango in Paris. Okay, let's touch on that one real quick. It's the one of two Brando films I saw. Oh, at 6. Well, in Last Tango, let's just say at the end, Brando takes a stick of butter and begins to engage in an activity from behind with an actress, using the butter to make things easier, to run smoother. Oh my God, you have exactly the idea of what I just said. And again, I was 6. So, next movie. Let's just touch on The Tenant by Polanski, where, again, at about 7, the man moves into an apartment where a woman just threw herself out of, where everything is still there, at the bottom of the building, and he decides to move in. Then he becomes obsessed with the dying roommate who mysteriously is dying, and then suddenly he becomes a drag queen. And then he himself does, I don't want to spoil it, but he does what the first lady did, and now we have a dead drag queen. Okay, I'm 7. So from that, let's go from the dead drag queen, suicidal drag queen, oops, I don't know if that word passes, to The Godfather. Again, 6. Again, lying on the shoulder, pretending I'm free and a baby at 6. Seeing The Godfather. So now with The Godfather, we have horsehead PTSD, because, the retribution is, of course, the severed head of the man's favorite horse in bed with him waking up with blood and everything. And then every other 5 minutes, people are getting mowed down with machine guns, if you've seen the film. 7. Okay, so now we're on our, 5th age inappropriate film? Let's see. Well, let's just leave it at that for the movies and get to the notorious nightclub part. By then, of course, I have a PhD in smut and violence and sex, if you can say that one. So there is this notoriously famous club in Hollywood, what is now West Hollywood. West Hollywood used to be an unincorporated area of the county of Los Angeles, meaning non-city, between Hollywood and Beverly Hills, both of which were cities. So West Hollywood was this no man's land. Well, there was an infamous burlesque club, conveniently 2 blocks from my dad's apartment and right there in what is now known as West Hollywood. Sinatra, the Rat Pack used to go there. It was owned by Lenny Bruce's mother, who's a notoriously famous comedian of sorts. His mom owned the place. Now, this went on for years. And again, conveniently, the Pink Pussycat was 3 blocks from my dad's apartment. Still kicking. So the brilliant idea that my dad had that evening to, give me culture was to bring me to the Pink Pussycat, which again was still alive and well. And somehow behind his legs and buttocks, I was sort of shuffled into it. It was dark. The waiting area, tiny little waiting area, was dark. So he shoved me behind the curtain of the waiting area. And it was sort of the kind of place where you could wait for a seat. It wasn't like, give me your money right at the door. So I got to watch the Pink Pussycat burlesque acts for 10 minutes from clearly behind a curtain. Now I'm kind of appreciative of that experience because it was classic burlesque that you will never see in your life again. It makes cabaret look like, Rebecca of Sunnybrook Farm. But then the maitre d' got way pissed off at my dad, and of course I was summarily thrown out along with him onto Santa Monica Boulevard. Again, an image, an experience that I will never forget from my dad's age inappropriateness, or his null and void awareness of what is age appropriate for his kid. Now, there's very little slack I can cut him for. There's plenty of explanations in my book, justifications, reasons for all of this stuff in my book. But this is what is called overexposure at an early age. It is considered a form of neglect, and just 2 clicks from ABUSE, by proxy of negligence, by proxy of overexposure. So, of course, it's not the physical kind of ABUSE, but it is more of a psychological overexposure. And so, for better or worse, that made me scarred or enlightened culturally, or both. What do you know? Where do you think that could possibly come from? Again, let me reiterate to those of you, particularly family members, who think that I am, quote, spinning my yarn about my stories, and particularly about my father, who we kind of know all too well. Well, let me just lay it flat out for everybody, as I have before. If you didn't know my father from 1969 to 1976, give or take, you don't know my father. As much as you think you spent years with my father and understood him from all of whatever he did from 76 until he died, you do not get my dad unless you knew him from 1969 to 1976. I got a whole lot out of that period. He got a whole lot of several things out of that period. And the person that he was then is no one that has ever known him, for better or worse. Because there is so plenty much more where that came, friends and family. So plenty much more. Glacier size much more. So I hope you enjoyed today's show. As promised, as always, I try to be as explicit in the teaser, the promos, so you know what you're getting. And then stay tuned for a quickie teaser on this for those of you that have discovered that if you marathon my teasers, you can see over 60 shows in an hour, because we're going on 600 videos, and I think we're now at, I don't know, pushing 90,000 views. So I love you guys for all that and for putting up with me, as always. And go and do everything I wouldn't do or haven't done. No, just kidding. Okay, see you soon enough. Bye.